Hey guys, welcome out to another episode of the Pod of War podcast. I'm your host, UF Gizmo, joined by Xbox Live's own Big Papa Pump, CW Lanky.
Hello.
And of course, the Samoa Joe to Craig's Big Papa Pump. It's Masterclass, Chris Pengelly.
Hello, everyone.
So guys, it's another week. How are we doing?
Yeah, not too bad.
Great, Davey. Great.
Great. Football's dead. Wrestling's alive. That's all you need to know. So, we'll start this week as we always start the show, with what we've been playing, what we've been buying. We'll start this week with, of course, the biggest of dogs. Let's go to the Chris Pengelly. Do we need the timer this week, Chris?
Shouldn't do, really.
Okay, good stuff.
That worries me.
I've not really played much. I played a bit of Formula 1 2020, because that was added to Game Pass, where it's added to EA Play.
So by a bit, do you mean like one race?
Yeah, basically.
So why do you include it? Why do you include it?
What was your review of that one race?
Anyway, I started the career mode. There's two options. You can do it as just a racer, or you can do it as you own the team as well. So I made my team. I made the Pod of War team. So we've got like a green and black livery for the car and stuff like that. So started that, and actually it looks quite nice at that. I've played Formula 1 games before. I remember the one early on PS3, and I was hopeless on it with it. But the thing is, it's very Formula 1, so it's like, oh, I qualified for 17th. I ended up being 13th on my 6th or 7th lap, and just ended there and didn't progress further. And Hamilton qualified in first and finished first. But it is over 10 seasons, so obviously you can upgrade your car and stuff. So when you get to season 8, I guess your car is going to be as good as Mercedes or
You're
Red
going to
Bull
have to let us know,
like
aren't you, Pengy?
I'm not. It just has got me, because 21's reviewed pretty well, and because that's got a proper story mode and stuff like that.
Is it full of emotional choices?
I don't know, because I have not played it. But it has got me when 21 comes, if they've got the story mode and stuff like that. The actual gameplay of driving the car and that was fine. It's just I think I would get bored doing this for 10 seasons and just in a menu and press A to upgrade rear differentials or something like that. For 10 seasons, where if you've got the actual story mode, that could be quite interesting.
Where did you finish on this race? That's what
13th.
And he got a minute 40 review out of that one race, so fair play to Peng. Pengy's a master of the arts, isn't he?
Yeah, so that. And then my pickup, I have one pickup, which is staying on the racing theme, is Ridge Racer Unbounded for PS3. Pick this up. I didn't even know this game existed. I thought the last Ridge Racer game was 7 or the one on 3DS or something like that. And I understand why I didn't know this when it existed, because it's not very Ridge Racer E. It's from Bugbear, which I think did Wreckfest.
And they did Flat Out.
Yeah. It feels more of a cross between Need for Speed, it opens up with dramatic cutscene and live action sort of silhouette character, and you gotta dominate Shatter City and stuff like that. But the actual gameplay is more Burnout. You can not takedowns, it's frag. So you frag your opponent's cars and stuff like that, and then you can build up your boost meter and all that. It's a weird cross between Burnout and Need for Speed, not very racily tool, so it's kind of disappointing. It was cheap, it was £3. It's played a couple of races and that. But as I had my PS3
a couple of races, so
yeah, 3. I
more
did
than
3
one.
races. Yeah, I did 3 races.
4 races for Pengy this week. It's not bad.
Yeah,
It's not bad at all.
no, yeah, it was fine. I was really looking for Blur or Split Second on the PS3, but like I said, I come across that for £3, so I thought give it a go for that.
Are you going to go back to it, or is that dead now?
It's pretty much dead now. So
we're on to winners so far, Craigo.
Yeah.
Did you win any of the races in this one?
Yeah, I won all 3 races.
Yeah.
It's actually
well done, mate.
It's actually quite hard racing game. Definitely made to work for those first places in it. And it's got a map editor as well, so you can make your own circuits and your own city and that. But online is no longer up, so you can't upload them. So you can't compete on my races, and we can't play multiplayer either.
It's a shame that we were going to do it as well.
Yeah, I've just bought a PS3, and now you're telling me we can't play multiplayer. I'm gonna have to cancel it now.
I'd love to see you try and work a PS3, Craig.
Right, but as I have my PS3 on, I set up my American PSN account and my Japanese PSN account, which I hadn't actually done on my PS3. So I set them both up. And when I was on the American PSN, going through what was through that, their classic selection is really good, especially compared to the European one. Like, we lost Alundra and Art the Lad and stuff like that all got delisted. They're all available. All the Fatal Frame games are available, so if you want to play like Fatal Frame 3 and don't want to pay like 50-60 quid for it, it's available for $10 on the PSN. I still had credit, so from whenever I must have bought something on the American store. I don't even know what I bought on the American store. Something for PS4 or VR, I guess. Still had credit. So I bought Chrono Trigger, which I haven't played yet, so I bought that. Have you actually ever played it, Dave?
No, because the only European release, I believe, is that DS port, which was like very limited release, and I should have bought it when I saw it, and I didn't. And if you look now, it's like 120 quid. Yeah. So now I've never played it. I want to play it, but I've never played it.
Yeah, so I got that because I thought, how people talk about it and stuff like that. And the other one I bought for it was $6. Like I said, I had credit, was Legend of Dragoon, which is also another expensive PS1 game. It's like 70-80 quid now for a PAL copy. I think it might be a little bit cheaper if you want a physical American copy, so way cheaper. So I started that, and I've played this for about 2 hours. I was hoping to finish chapter 1, which I thought might have finished after you save the, let's say, princess, because it's the easiest definition in a JRPG. You got to go save the Geralt in like the tower of the prison. So I thought that might be in chapter 1, but it isn't. It's definitely dated. I know that's going to sound silly because it's a PS1 game, but Final Fantasy IX, still looks fantastic for a PS1 game. Like you, Dave, I watched some of the Kinda Funny Metal Gear Solid, and that's an older game in this, and that looks better in this, which is kind of surprising because it's a first-party title, so it's definitely aged. And you can think like, even if they did like a straight port of this on like Steam, like the Final Fantasy VII's one where they can improve it, just simple improvements, if they were like someone's going to re-release it, because like load times are pretty horrendous and stuff like that. But it's got an interesting combat system. It's turn-based, but it's also got combos and stuff like that. So you play as like Dart, who has a sword, and so when you go select your options, so you got attack, items, magic, escape. So you select attack, do the attack, and then you got like the square button or X. No, it's the X button. There's a big square in the middle, so you can square, and then you got like time the attack right, and then if you time it right, they would do does extra damage, so it makes you more engaged. But you can unlock new abilities. And one of the other characters I got, he's like he's got this harpoon thing. I unlocked a new combo for him, so do your attack, and then you press like X, you time it right, and then you got another box come up, and if you time that right, you can do attack, and he does like this spinning attack and stuff like that. So it's an interesting battle system compared to like a Final Fantasy VII or something at the time. I can see why it is a bit of a cult classic and why people have said, "Oh, Blue Point should remake it or something." But yeah, that's it. Well, that's all we're playing: a PS1 game and a PS3 game and some Formula 1.
That is the most Pengals week you could possibly make, isn't it? Really,
it's random.
The only way that would be more Pengal is if you bought a console randomly and played it once. That'd be the only way that could be more Pengally.
Actually, I play some of the Back 4 Blood beta.
And how did you find it?
It's Left 4 Dead, but looks better.
I mean, that's fair. That's what they're marketing as. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll move swiftly on before Pingles remembers another demo that he played this week. Let's go to you, Craig Stealth. You've been playing, big boy.
So all I've been playing is Last Stop from Game Pass, which is the Annapurna game from, is it Variable Stake they're called, Pingles?
Yeah.
Which I think you played this a few weeks ago when it released. It is very much a Undave game. It's a story-based game. But it does move along quite quickly. It doesn't do the thing which I quite like, which like Tell Me Why and Life is Strange, those sort of games do, where it puts you in a room, you have to just walk around the room and pick up objects and then stare at object and put it down. It just kind of carries on and just kind of like speeds through the story, which is quite nice. It's broken up into little chapters as well. So you play as 3 different characters. And you have the choice of like which character you do first, which is quite nice because the chapters will be like 15 minutes. So if you're like, I just want to play for like half an hour, you can just be like, I'll just do a couple of chapters and then put it down and leave it in quite a nice place. I'm quite enjoying that. And the story is kind of like it feels like a British like TV sci-fi show, like a Doctor Who or something like that.
Yeah, that's it.
It really does have those sort of vibes, which is actually quite cool. Even for someone like me that absolutely cannot stand Doctor Who. Just that kind of weird, quirky, like British TV thing it has going for it is quite nice to like play through. It is also, I believe, a easy completion. So I believe I've missed like 1 achievement so far, but I'm pretty sure you unlock like a chapter select at the end. So I will be going back and getting that achievement that I missed, and hopefully getting the full completion for this.
Oh hell yeah!
Nice. And I think I've only got like I've done the first 5 chapters for all of the characters so far, and I think there's 6 chapters each. So I've got 3 more chapters to do, and then I finished it. But I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. I kind of thought, just from looking at trailers on this, I thought it didn't look that great. But the actual art style kind of, I don't know, I feel like the trailers undersell the art style in the game. It's better than the trailers make it look. But yeah, it's decent. It's worth playing if you have Game Pass and you're into that sort of thing, and you're not called Dave Bellringer.
There's only so many people that aren't called Dave Bellringer, to be fair. But obviously, we'll talk about Game Pass tips and selections later. But did you finish it? Was there something apart from the last achievement?
You've got 4 chapters.
3 more chapters, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Or 4 more chapters, yeah.
And
so we'll be done by next week, and I would start something else.
Yeah, because we're getting close to Psychonauts 2 now, right? So that's the next
12,
big one.
It's 12 minutes, I think, on Tuesday. So.
Oh no, yes, it is actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully that will only be 12 minutes. I could probably spare 12 minutes if I had to. I might play that just to break the stereotype that I hate indie games, because I don't hate them. I just
despise them in every way.
I play up, okay? I play up to the camera. I don't hate stuff as much as I say. It's just, makes the show more interesting. But okay, cool, nice. And I presume absolutely 0 pickups from my boy.
No. Yeah.
Good lad. So move to me. In a very twist of fate, I think I've played more than both of you combined, weirdly, this week. So we'll go
I have to get the 10-minute timer up for you. It's just the ultimate turn.
It'll be 20 minutes, mate. Right, so let's start with the pickups. First of all is a game that I haven't played. This is for a video. This is WWE 2K18. This is for a video when you 2 come up next month. That's why I've bought that. We won't say another word about it because, Okay. But the other pickup is Final Fantasy XIV Online Starter Edition. What a twist of fate this is for Craig. So I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV because I haven't played an MMO since Final Fantasy XI on the Xbox 360, and this is obviously on a console, which means it's playable. # no mouse and keyboard for your boy. I'm like 20 hours in. I kind of like it. I kind of really like it actually. So I'm just plowing through, MMOing up, killing little mobs or whatever, and doing little side quests. And Amanda started playing it on PC, so we started playing together, and it's a recipe for disaster, Craig. But what
this is really hot right now, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's like taken off recently because WoW is basically awful because of everything. Like the game's bad and Blizzard are awful, and all the streamers are leaving basically. So I thought, you know what? I saw this on Amazon for £6, and it comes with 30 days. So because it's a subscription game, but it comes with 30 days, and it's got the first expansion with it.
How much is the subscription?
It's at £8, something like that. It's for an MMO. Yeah, a month, yes. But then it's the difference with this one compared to another one is, and the reason I'm actually enjoying it is each game has an actual story. So like from my understanding of Warcraft, when the new expansion comes out, it basically deletes the previous ones and you can only play like the most recent content. So it's like, if you haven't played it before, you're not going to have a Scooby-Doo what's going on. Whereas this is basically a Final Fantasy game, like a really well-written Final Fantasy game with really interesting characters, and you just play them. I could just play the first game and not buy any of the DLC, and that'd probably be 60, 70 hours. Like, I don't have to pump in like £90 and whatever. So the gameplay's really strong for an MMO. Like, 'cause usually it's quite boring. You just sit there and click. Whereas this is, because again it's on a controller. There's lots of combos and stuff. It's a real time like turn-based game in that you select an action, you do it. You don't actually like bash square to like do combos, but you press like a square then a circle, whatever, does this attack then this attack and whatever, and you can play it in groups. It's got lots of cool online stuff because obviously it's an MMO, and I am enjoying it. So I'll do a more in-depth video at some point, just because it's not very easy to get across like what an MMO is. If you're going to play an MMO and you're a console player, this is the one I recommend. I know they're trying to get it on Xbox. I know Phil's been working hard to get it on Xbox soon. If it comes to Xbox, I highly recommend it. It's basically free to play. You don't actually have to sub. I think you can play all of the first game for free, which is, like I said, is a good 50+ hour content. So it's decent. The other game I've been playing, we'll talk about the last one.
Question about 14.
Shoot.
Right. Does playing 14 make you more excited for 16?
Yes.
I think it's from the same team.
Yes, it does. I am now much more excited for 16, knowing that it's this team writing it. And it's basically the same world from what I can tell. The character designs are very similar, and I've seen when I rewatched the 16 trailer, and it has like all the races. So I'm presuming it's set in this world in Eorza. I'm presuming that's what's happening. So I will do it when there's more info on 16. I'll do a deeper dive. But I'm a lot more excited for 16. My only issue with 16 will probably be the combat, because it just looks like Dark Souls. But we'll see. We'll see when it comes out, which means Craig will love it, right? Because it's action. It's not turn-based like it should be.
But I do hate Dark Souls. So.
You do, apart from Jedis. The other game I've been playing, I played today. I played about 2 hours of The Ascent with the boys, with Pete and Luke and Damon, and woof, is that game not ready to be played? I have not played a buggier game on Game Pass. It's unbelievable. The amount of pop-in the game does, and like I fell through the world a couple times, and obviously Pete had the 1S version, so he was hours behind us at every load screen, and he was bugging out everywhere, and then we were bugging out, and then we had connection drops, and I wasn't really sure what I was doing a lot of the time because the shooting mechanics don't feel that good. Bit rough at the minute. Yeah, it's not something I would recommend at the moment from my experience so far. But I didn't play for very long, so it's only about 2 hours, so tread carefully. And also the default font is unbelievably hard to read, because it's a really dark red on black, which is bad enough as it is, and then the actual text is tiny, like Dead Rising on the 360 when it first came out, tiny, and you literally couldn't read a thing. Like, it's ridiculous. But so hopefully in a month or so that'll be patched and it'll be better. But right now, I would avoid The Ascent, if at all possible. Similar to Penguin, I've done one race of Art of Rally. I did that before we started this. It's a weird game. It's weird. I was expecting just a rally game, but indie. But it starts with a Buddha talking to you, which is really all you need to know. Okay, so but I'll play more of that and I'll give a proper impression next week. But the 20 minutes I played was pretty fun. And the other big game, of course, the one that Pengy's been waiting literally all week for me to talk about, is I have finished Metal Gear Solid 1 on the original PlayStation. I played the Vita version. So I finished it. The last boss on the Vita was very difficult. So Chris, you want my opinion? I can drag this out a bit more. What do you think? What do you think I'm going to say? I know what you hope I'm going to say. What do you think I'm going to say?
I've watched. Like I said, I've watched the Kind of Funny, watched the last episode for them finishing it, and obviously Snowbike and Mike and Barrett's opinion. I don't think you're going to be as positive as them, but I do think you are going to be positive, and you will want to play Metal Gear Solid 2.
Okay, that's fair. What do you reckon, Craig? How do I found the stealth game?
I have zero hopes. Zero hopes at all.
So, I enjoyed the game. Okay, it's very interesting. Craig's lost his mind now. Craig's gone. Craig's out of the podcast. He doesn't want to come back.
Yeah.
So Metal Gear Solid 1 is a weird game, right? So the gameplay is dated. There's no denying that. I think the controls are very difficult because they don't even feel like PlayStation controls. They feel like Super Nintendo controls, like early PlayStation, because there's a lot of D-pad, a lot of weirdly mapped buttons that make, because I'm used to modern games, make like quick things difficult. I think that's why I had so much trouble with the last boss, because I was trying to do stuff quickly and it just wasn't reacting the way I wasn't reacting to the game like if I played a game now it would, which I think is fair. I think if I played this back because this is really the first modern PlayStation game, it's hard, like it's kind of weird to explain. Like, it's the first real game that is like an action game and it's all about story, and the story is pretty good in Metal Gear Solid 1. It basically makes sense, which, and I know going forward that's going to be a different story, but in this game it's quite self-contained. The characters make sense. There's lots of little nods to like the past, and you kind of have to like do a little bit of digging, but the codec conversations work really well. The voice acting is very, very good for a PS1 game, and the cinematography is very, very good for a PS1 game, and like the way that each of the cutscenes are actually shot is way ahead of its time. Obviously, it's still on bulky, crappy PS1 graphics, so take that with you. And I will play Metal Gear Solid 2 at some point. I have it installed on my Xbox One. I have the HD remaster from Bluepoint, so I will give that a go. I'm interested to see if I even will like it, because I think the issue I might find with 2 is it's going to be more complicated, like stealth-wise, because I'm not very good at stealth. As me and Craig have discussed many times, we both aren't the stealthiest of people. So, like, if there's an option, I'd rather shoot my way out. And I feel like it's going to be more difficult. But I'll play the tanker section first. Obviously, that's the first bit I'll play, and then I'll make my decision if I'm going to keep playing after that, I think. But yeah, overall, is it a 10 out of 10 game? No, it's not. But it's better than I gave it credit for. It's obviously better than The Last of Us. That's all you need to know, because The Last of Us is terrible. I need to get it back in, okay? People need to know I'm a prick, so I need to get that back in. But no.
Does this make you, Chris, want to replay this? Because obviously you've watched Kind of Funny Guys. You've heard Dave talk about it. I know you hold these games to like the highest of regards.
Yeah, because obviously Dave's saying it's not a 10 out of 10 game. But would it have been if you played it in 1999?
No, I think even then, I think the controls would have annoyed me. But I think it's a 9. Like, it's a good game. It's not a perfect game. It would go into my top 5 PS1 games, but it wouldn't be the number 1. Like, yeah, I think that's probably the
like Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, like that's the highest. I actually think it's a better game than Final Fantasy 7, for the record.
Still high.
It's not as anywhere near as good as Final Fantasy 9 or Crash Team Racing or even probably Crash 3 for me. But it's a good game. It's a good PS1 game. It's one of the PS1 games that you could probably play now and enjoy yourself. It took me 11 hours. I got the codename Mongoose because I play on easy, and I don't know how good or bad that is.
I don't know, because they got Hyena, which is like rank 9 on normal or something.
Yeah, it's not great. Like I got alerted a lot.
Games take the piss out of you for playing on easy. Is that the Metal Gear Solid games?
Not really.
Not really.
I don't know what you mean. There is games that truly take the piss out of you. Yeah. I don't think it's Metal Gear. No. I think it's a Western game that you're thinking of. It might be like Splinter Cell, actually.
Yeah, possibly.
I don't know.
Like, you get rankings, so I guess if you like one of the rarest ranks, so like Pigeon or something.
Yeah, I know. Like Flying Squirrel was the one I was trying to avoid on easy. So, but yeah, as I say, it took about 11 hours. So that's a perfect length for a game like that. Because again, I'm not very good at stealth, especially on a PS1 game where you can't use the sticks and you can't go down sights very well. And on the Vita, the last like Jeep section where you really need to go in first person is painful because the button layout is just weird, and obviously the little Vita can't cope with it, really, to be honest with you. I should have just played it on PS3. I could have just installed it on my PS3, but it's done now. I'm looking forward to playing 2 with modern controls on a modern controller. So obviously because I'll be able to use my Series S controller on my Xbox One S, so I'll be looking forward to playing that, and I'll let you know. I know the Metal Gear series is weird because
I've already watched part 1 and part 2 of Kind of Funny,
yeah,
and it's hilarious. There's a clip from Snowbike Mike, which is absolutely fantastic, of Metal Gear Solid 2. You should watch that if you.
I will probably watch it whilst I'm playing. That's what I did with this one, and it's one of those things like if we still lived in the same city, or Town. Like you two coming over and watching me play that, like stream it, would be fucking hilarious because I'm really bad at stealth, and I'm like I'm like overly sneaky because I'm just like I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't know.
How did you also find things like that where like, because obviously you knew about the controller trick and obviously like Merrill like getting your codec. I guess you just Googled what your codec. What you need, because obviously you can't look at back. Like, how do you find stuff like that, knowing stuff? And
obviously, it's obviously less of an impact just because you like you know, like I've been watching video game content for 20 years. Like I know Metal Gear Solid is one of those games that gets memed out a lot, and you see in a lot of like top 10 videos, and I know what happens. You know what I mean? So, like the Soko Mantis fight for me was really boring. Because I knew what to do it, and it was kind of straightforward. Like for me, the best boss fights I had in that game, the Sniper Wolf boss fight was really fun. Because it was very difficult as well. Cyborg was pretty good. I didn't mind Vulcan Raven. I know people hate it, but I didn't think it was that bad. I kind of want to play Twin Snakes now.
The tank.
Yeah, the tank's pretty silly. Yeah. Trying to punch a tank to death was pretty fun. Then I threw grenades at it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's what you do. Yeah, I'd kind of want to play Twin Snakes at some point just to see the difference, which is the first remake of that, Craig, for the record, on the GameCube of all places. But there you go, Metal Gear Solid. But yeah, that's the Metal Gear Solid section, Chris, for now. There may be a second section or a longer video that Craig will not want to be on because he hates everything. He's the one that hates games, not me. Okay, yeah, it's all Craig. I'm the nice one, really. I love Japan. It's good stuff. So that slides us nicely over to the topic of the show. So last week we discussed our good friend, our number one viewer, Mr. Alistair, has bought an Xbox. Welcome into the Xbox community, everyone. Big that up.
Daddy Phil welcomes you.
Daddy Phil welcomes everyone, Craig, as you know. Even you dirty ponies. So we thought let's recommend Al some games. So we're going to recommend 3 games each that are on Game Pass. Not games that are leaving. There isn't. I can't imagine I need to recommend GTA to Al at this point. Or Darksiders Genesis. I think you'll be okay. So we'll do 3 games. I'm going to try and be a little bit different with mine. I'm not just going to be like Halo and Gears all the way through, but you can recommend them if you want. So we'll start with Pengy, the big dog. You ready? You got a recommendation for Al?
Yes. Because I went in the comments and I asked Al what he likes.
Look at that.
And
a professional.
He likes platformers. And there is a pretty decent platformer on Xbox Game Pass, and that's New Super Lucky Tale, which also is something you wouldn't really associate with Xbox. I think most people would go, it's the shooty bang bang console, so nice, kid-friendly 3D platformer. It's a really good one. It's not on the level of Mario, but you know, that's Mario. It's not gonna be, but it's and it's got both versions on Game Pass. So you can double dip. You can get a lot of gamer score if you want. Build up your gamer score quite quickly. It's not
that game has 2 hard achievements, or it might just be 1 hard achievement that I haven't got, which is really annoying.
But yeah, it's just a fun platformer. Nothing else to say. It could obviously be usurped with Psychonauts 2 coming, but at the moment, I recommend it something different in the Xbox library.
I did a whole video a couple of years ago suggesting it was the most underrated Xbox exclusive, and I do stand by that. Obviously, it's not exclusive anymore, but I remember when that game came out and it got like 4s from IGN, and I was
then it came to Switch and everyone liked it.
Everyone liked it, yeah. And I've long recommended Lucky's Tale, Super Lucky's Tale, not New Super Lucky's Tale, but that's an even better version of the game. And I agree, if you like platformers, especially like quite kid-friendly ones, New Super Lucky's Tale is a fantastic suggestion. So well done there, big dog, for having good taste for a change. So, Craigo, what indie game are you recommending for Al?
So I too looked at the comments section from last week. I didn't think to ask Al. Yeah, Pengel just trumped me there. But I did see that he put that one of his favourite intros was the Doom 2016 intro, which is a very good intro, to be fair. Very like instant action, straight into it, no messing around. So the easy one for me, I guess, is play Doom Eternal, because that basically does everything that Doom 2016 does, but does it much better. It is probably one of the best like single player shooting games ever made, in my opinion. It has like phenomenal music, phenomenal map design, even the story, even though it's kind of nonsensical, it does a really good job of making you, the Doomslayer, feel like an absolute badass. I remember playing this thinking, this is how I should feel playing as like Master Chief in Halo. Like it does that good of a job of like really hyping up the Doomslayer as just being the ultimate like guy. So yeah, definitely Doom Eternal. Definitely, I should definitely give that a go, because if you like Doom 2016, you would definitely like Eternal.
That is a very safe but very true thing, and I still haven't played either of those games.
Yes, you both suck because neither of you have played it.
I've recommended Doom 2016 to so many people as well, and I've never got around to playing it myself. But yeah, they're incredible games, and they're just they get better every time they do another re-release of them. And Series S has that enhancement now, right? So
yes, they've done the free enhancement for both, haven't
they? Yeah.
Oh hell yeah! So I'm going to go a bit different with mine, because why would I? Why would I be nice? So obviously I know that Al is deep down a big dirty weeb. He's a big old weeb. So I recommend to Al, who is a big weeb, you're a big weeb, that you play Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is obviously the latest Yakuza game, but it's a reset to the series. It's a turn-based JRPG, which, you know, the weebs like, and it's just crazy and funny. Now, the only reason Al might not play it is it's very long, and obviously he is full of children, so he only has so much time to play. But if he's going to play any JRPG that is on Game Pass, I recommend Yakuza Like a Dragon.
That's Gary Whitta approved as well, isn't it? Which is all you need.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, to be honest, I know Pengy's never playing it again, but eventually I think me and Craig might get to it, because I think
I've installed it.
Yeah, it's got legs for us. I think its issue is its length. Really, for me, it scares me a little bit, because I'm like, I need to commit to it, and that's what really like ruined Judgment for me. Is I was just like, it's too long, and I struggle. Even though I've just played 20 hours of Final Fantasy 14.
I can say Sister Man, there's like an MMO.
Yeah, but the difference with an MMO is that my girlfriend will force me to play it. So, but yeah, Pengy, numero dos.
So the next one, and you might think this is a little bit of an odd choice. It is an Xbox exclusive at the moment, but there's been rumblings of a remaster, which would mostly be a PS5 exclusive or PlayStation exclusive. That's Sunset Overdrive, which is most probably the most underrated and underappreciated Xbox One exclusive. Like, no one played it. Yet, you can see what Insomniac did with the combat and the traversal of this into Spider-Man, and that the setup of that. So if you're coming over from PS4 and you've played Spider-Man or something like that, you just got yourself a Series S or a Series X, and you're looking for something similar, this is the perfect game for that. It's a similar sort of premise. It's multiplayer, I think, still online if you want to play multiplayer. I don't know if anyone does, but I think it is still available. Obviously, it's because it's Insomniac, there's no X or S enhanced patch. Basically, it came out, that was it. Jobs are good, and so you would be playing the Xbox One game how it is. So for I think no improvements in that terms, but it's a great game. It's just, like I said, no one really played it, which is a shame because a lot of people missed out on this game. So a remaster would be great, and then obviously maybe a sequel, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like Ratchet and Clank mixed with Dead Rising, mixed with, like, I guess, Spider-Man. It's probably the three games, if you mash them together, that would make. And it is a very good game. It's very underrated, like you said. I remember buying that game like 2 weeks after it came out for like 10 quid. Because I have the day one edition of the game that has the day one banner on the top, and I remember buying that game like hilariously cheap. But it hit at like the worst time for Xbox. It's the game I'm going to recommend if Craig doesn't is also a game that hit the worst time for Xbox. But because
it wasn't quite launched, was it?
No, it was the year after. It was like it was the dark time.
Then.
It was the dark time before Phil.
That's the problem. Thing. Like, no one had Xbox, and then by the time like we had the One S and like Phil taking charge,
like Sunset Overdrive launched with the One X, did it not?
No, it's way before that.
Or did it launch with a white Xbox then? There was a bundle.
There was a bundle. No, I think it was just a black. But it was in that bit before Phil took over and before we got the 1S, and like you said, no one really had an Xbox. And then when people were picking up an Xbox, people just didn't go back to like play it, which is a shame. So I think it is actually on Game Pass and stuff like that.
So the Sunset Overdrive bundle was a white original Xbox.
Nice.
There you go. I remember we sold them at work and they went cheap real quick. But yeah, it was the year after. It was before the, it was still Don Matrick. It was still the dark times. But again, great game for Game Pass. They've given that game away many times. You can get it on disc very cheap if you have a Series X and you just want it physically. It's a good collect. If you're going to collect games, by the way, this is a complete aside. The Xbox One is a fantastic game to collect for because one, they're very cheap, all their games, and two, the Series X games are the same, so they look nice on the shelf. But yeah, Sunset Overdrive, good pick. Craigo.
So this one isn't really just like Al in particular, just a general Game Pass recommendation. But I feel like you just have to say it, and that's Forza Horizon 4. I think it was number.
I didn't go for this because
2?
Forza Horizon 5 is so close. It's like if you're just picking up an Xbox now, you might as well just wait for Forza Horizon 5.
Play both. Don't listen to Penny.
Yeah, it's so good. You really could just play both, especially as it's been enhanced. And it's if you play it on next gen consoles, it is so buttery smooth. It's incredible.
Still 3 months before the fifth one, Pinky. Don't worry.
Yeah, I was just thinking you might be out. Play too much Forza.
There's no such thing as too much Forza. Yeah, God, Chris. You've just done one race on Formula One. Like, no.
But yeah, arguably one of the best racing games ever made. Number 2 on our list of greatest games of all time.
Yes, it was. Number 1 is also on Game Pass.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely Forza Horizon 4 is an easy pick. And it's such a casual game as well. You can easily just even if you're not into racing games, you can easily lose 50, 60 hours to that game.
Yeah, and that game now has a lot of content, especially free content. So even if you just like Top Gear, there's good Top Gear content. There's the Eliminator Battle Royale mode. There's the Playgrounds multiplayer modes. There's the big crazy free roam stuff you can do. It's a fun game. It's just a fun game. You can make it a challenging racing game if you want to, or you can make it as easy and casual as you'd like. So. Yeah, it's a good recommendation. It's arguably, I know we didn't vote on number 1, but it's arguably the best game on Game Pass. So yeah, it's certainly up there. It's probably the best racing game. There's a lot of good racing games on Game Pass now. So and just to let you all know, I'm not going to recommend Dirt 5, even though I've completed that game 6 times. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're going to get a racing game, Forza Horizon 4 for now is the best choice. So for my number 2, I'm going to recommend a game in a very similar vein to Pengy that deserves a lot more than it got. Will probably eventually get re-released elsewhere, and that is Quantum Break. Quantum Break is from the guys at Remedy, who did Max Payne famously and other games. Control, right? It's the one that came afterwards, and is interesting in that it has a TV series built into it, which is very strange and sounds awful, but it actually isn't. Because it's quite intriguing, and obviously it's
it's super well done. The TV show
well done,
is the production value in it is insane.
It's all good voice actors and actors, it's all big names, it's good stuff. So the only problem is the last boss sucks. That's the only problem with the game. The rest of it, very good. But yeah, it's a nice short game. I think you can beat the game in about 8 to 10 hours. It's got multiple playthrough scenarios, so there's basically 2 TV series built into it based on the decisions you make. You basically do a chapter, make a decision, and then there's a villainous TV series part which shows out the villains enacting whatever decision you've made. So I really recommend it. It's not a game that ever gets sold. I think it's actually more underrated than Sunset Overdrive because at least people still bring up Sunset Overdrive. No one talks about Quantum Break. But again, another game if you're a physical guy and you got a Series X, not Series S, you can get that game for pennies if you want it on your shelf. So really recommend it.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's probably the most PlayStation game, I think, that's still exclusive to Xbox. I think it's more PlayStation-y than Sunset Overdrive. So if you just want a cool sci-fi story game to play through, Quantum Break is my recommendation. So Pengy, it's number 3. Go home or go big.
So my number 3 is unavailable elsewhere, but obviously it's on Game Pass, so it's not exclusive. I know, actually, Stupid Lucky Tail's gone elsewhere now, but that's Outer Worlds. Obviously, it was announced at E3 we're getting a sequel, which obviously will be Xbox exclusive. I've gotten this. It's a nice long RPG. I didn't think that would be picked up from you two either. I wanted to go for something different. It's good. It is a good RPG. It's not like stupidly long. It's not going to be your Final Fantasy 14's long. I think you can do it like 30 hours or something, maybe even less than that. But it's just a very well made RPG from Outer Worlds and from Obsidian. Like I said, the sequel's coming, which I think is going to be a new cast. So you may not need to play this, but they definitely get you excited for what's to come. And maybe Obsidian's other games, like, oh, I like this. Oh, I'm really looking forward to Avowed, for instance, coming as well. So it introduces you to Obsidian and what they are all about.
Very nice. Yeah, now all three of us finished that game, which is a grade A good sign, because there is very few games, especially RPGs, that all three of us will play all the way through, and all three of us did. The DLC is pretty fun as well, from what Craig tells me, and obviously we are going to get a sequel in a couple of years' time. So the Outer Worlds, it's the best Fallout game, and I will fight anyone that disagrees with me. So Craigo, it's number 3.
So, going on Pengy's information that Al likes platformers, this is kind of a platformer, more of a Metroidvania, but I'm going for Ori and the Will of the Wisp. This is probably one of the better Metroidvanias out there, I would say. The ones that I've played. There's a beautiful art style, really, really cool music in it as well, and it's super responsive. It's super fun and satisfying to play. It's surprisingly big as well. I think it takes like 35 hours, 40 hours to beat, I believe. So yeah, definitely would recommend Ori and the Will of the Wisp to anyone, but definitely if you like platformers as well.
And obviously it goes without saying, if you haven't played the first one,
which I haven't,
which is mad to me.
Yeah.
But play the first one as well, because the first one is a great game. I always forget about Ori, because it's kind of like the flagship indie game, right? The Xbox have on Game Pass. Absolutely beautiful on the new consoles as well, because they run at a much better frame rate, and obviously they have the HDR goodness, and it's interesting that a game like that is on an Xbox service and doesn't perhaps get the credit for being as good as it is, you know.
Oh yeah, if that was on PlayStation, it would be all you heard about ever.
People do like it on the Switch. They just get very positive on the old Switch there. Like they're bringing out like another limited edition physical version on the Switch coming soon. It's like 4 different versions for that game physical now. All those games on the Switch. People love it over there.
Over there, aren't you Mr. Switch, Chris?
You're the Switch.
Yeah.
It is the
Switch. Oh, that episode's still in the works. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
So obviously now it's my last pick. Now what I should say is Halo. I should say Gears. I should say FIFA 21, really, shouldn't I? Because that's something that I know Al would be a big fan of. But in a shocking twist, I'm not going to say that. So I'm going to have a bit of a cop-out answer, and it's just just play everything. Just everything new that comes out. Because it just happens all the time.
That's the biggest cop-out I've ever heard. Chris Pengelly wouldn't even...
Do you know what I was gonna say, tell me why, but I couldn't keep a straight face.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. So I recommend, it's a new game. I haven't played barely any of it, but it just looks quite interesting. I know Al's got a young child and has older children, but he might be looking for something a bit more, a little bit more gamey. I recommend Dodgeball Academia. It's just come out. It's a little indie game. It's like a turn-based RPG that is also a dodgeball game with a really sort of anime Pokemon art style, which I know is a big thing for Al because he's an art guy, so he likes good art styles. And it just looks quite interesting. I've played barely any of it, and I've watched a few videos about it, and I just think it looks really interesting. And that's so the joke that I was trying to make in the meme aside is that the power of Game Pass is that you can watch a trailer and then try a game. And a game like Dodgeball Academia, I can tell you right now, is not a game I would purchase. It's not a game Craig would purchase. Chris, of course, would get a code and then play it for 10 minutes and then tell us it's awful. But the power of Game Pass is that these sort of games that we wouldn't normally play can come up. And I think Dodgeball Academia is one of those type of games that I think you wouldn't naturally look at and buy, but you can just...
I've already installed it. I would have bought this.
No, and I think it would be quite a short, enjoyable game. And I really is the last sort of closing thing about Game Pass. If we could have sat here for an hour and just recommended games, Like genuinely, we could have just sat here and recommended games because it's good. You know, we like I said, we didn't mention Halo, we didn't mention Gears, we didn't mention
my list was huge.
A Way Out. We didn't mention fucking hell, Dirt 5. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we just go down, and we all have very different tastes. And I think the most exciting thing for me from Game Pass is, in particular, like Craig is a completely different gamer because of Game Pass than he was before Game Pass. Like, completely different. Like, some of the games that I know Craig's played and completed. Like, if I told him in 2016 he'd have played Nier Automata, or he'd have played as many indie games he's played now, he'd be like, "You're an idiot. I'm playing COD and FIFA. You can all fuck off." So it's like, you know, the power of Game Pass is like ridiculous, especially for someone I know like Al that doesn't have a massive amount of time that you can play these type of games. If it was going to go for a random recommendation for the other kids, I really recommend Minecraft Dungeons. I think that game's pretty fun. Me and Craig have enjoyed it. It's great for kids. I recommend you try the app on your phone because there's a lot of games that have got touch controls. For me, I still pop in Viva Pinata because the touch controls they've got specifically for the cloud app are very, very good. And obviously it goes without saying, if you've got Game Pass Ultimate, you have Game Pass for PC. So you can play Age of Empires, you can play Fallout 1, you can play Football Manager 21 if you want. So Game Pass, I know this always just sounds like a Game Pass advert whenever we talk about it, but it really is like a life-changing thing for gaming. Like, it really is. Like, if you just had an Xbox and Game Pass, you would not have to buy a game all year. Like we joke that Craig never has a pickup. I don't know when Craig is going to get a pickup. It's if he decides to buy Call of Duty because it's never going to be on Game Pass.
And Far Cry.
And even that, like, yet again, we should do a whole segment every week about why is Ubisoft games on sale again? Because guess what? There's an Ubisoft sale again this week. There was a Far Cry sale last week, but because it's just a pure Ubisoft sale this week, Far Cry's still on sale. So... Xbox, man. But yeah, that's our Game Pass recommendations. If you've just bought an Xbox, obviously, like I said, just watch a trailer. They have trailers built into the bloody app now on the console. You can just click on it.
You can't not watch them.
No, you can set it so you can't. Mine don't auto start.
Nice,
I have to click on them. That is a setting. You can go in the setting and change that. So you go. The more you know, Craig. The more you know. So, is there any closing thoughts for games this week? Are there any plans for the week for Pengy? I know you're probably gonna buy 16 different special editions of Metal Gear Solid now just to try and assert that you're the biggest Metal Gear fan, and clearly it's me.
Merged for obviously 12 Minutes comes out on Tuesday. I doubt I'll be able to play it on Tuesday because unfortunately I'm a little late, but Wednesday I hopefully get to play for that. I'm very excited for that game. See, that's like one, like, is obviously in Game Pass. There's one that I would have bought outside of Game Pass. I'm very, very excited for that. And then maybe that's mostly it. I might play some Metal Gear. I'm really tempted to play Metal Gear Solid 4, even though they're like miles behind on that, on the kind of funny. I really kind of fancy playing that because I've not played that since it came out in 2008. So I've not played it for 13 years.
Yeah, we are getting old, big dog. We are getting
so
old.
I've not played that, and obviously it's got all the fans.
Surely you need to wait until I get to that.
Yeah. That's
in 2024.
Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah, so...
The heat death of the universe.
It's quite far away, but yeah, it's just 12 minutes this week, I think.
Same for you, Craigo?
Yeah, I think so. I'll be honest, I completely forgot that was coming out this close.
There's a lot.
There's been a lot of Game Pass indies coming out.
We haven't even talked about Hades. That's just come out. That's a big game, and obviously I'm the only one that's played Ascent. And now that I've told you, none of you two ain't gonna play it. So.
Yeah, I was gonna play like either because I've nearly finished last up. It was either gonna be like, is it Omno? I think that's how you say that game's name, or say Dodgeball, Academia, or something like that. But it might now just be 12 minutes on Tuesday. We'll see.
And for me, like, I'm probably going to give Dodgeball Academia a go. I've been quite excited for what I've seen of that game. I still would quite like to play Bug Fables, but I think it might be a bit long for the time I can squeeze in and out of Final Fantasy while I'm stuck in queues to get into the very popular Japanese multiplayer game. God, I have a bet with Damon that if I can get to September 1st, I'm still playing it. He's going to join me, so
yeah.
I'm going to have bunny ears by the next episode, boys. You win. But that's the show.
No, I'm not playing as a bunny girl.
I
didn't even know that. I didn't even know that.
Vieira, Chris. If you had played Final Fantasy 12, you'd know.
Not played 12. Yeah, so I don't even know what like their class is like or whatever. So.
The class, the race is called Viera. You can be any class in Final
Oh,
Fantasy, Chris.
okay,
It's not
okay.
like Warcraft.
Oh, I didn't know if you wanted me
Just-
saying like
just-
they were healers or something.
Oh, just dip your toe in, Chris. You'll find out. Get a PlayStation. Buy one this week. Anyway, thank you for watching the show. We'll see you next week. Next week's topic of the show, I don't know what it's going to be yet. Could it be
Okay.
Metal Gear Solid? Could Craig play Metal Gear Solid on his Xbox? Could we make... No, that's not going to happen.
No,
Me-
I tried Ground Zeroes that one time, and that was more than enough.
I
for
love,
me.
by the way, that is your introduction to the series. That was that was Metal Gear's great white hope for Craig. It was Ground Zeroes. Oh dear. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. We will see you next week.
Bye.